I'm Justin Boyd.
And I'm ready to play receiver if the Chiefs need me to.
I'm ready to give Rashee Rice my knee, but Tristan Jones.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement. Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. Welcome to Watchers Football Weekly, a podcast within a podcast and a podcast. It's all about the pigskin. Today, we are here to discuss week 4 of the NFL season. Let's get right to it. There are two teams that remain undefeated in the NFL. Those two teams are the surprising Minnesota Vikings and, of course, Tristan and Frank's Kansas City Chiefs, which not a huge surprise, but they've had a tough road. Let's start off with the undefeateds. Frank, I'll let you go first. Pick whichever team you want to start with. Let's talk about how they've made it to 4-0 so far.
Well, I mean, let's start with the Chiefs real quick. I mean, that's the flavor of the month right now. Defense, man. This is replicating what happened last year when the offense was sputtering, dealing with injuries and like inefficient play from the receiver position, left tackle position. The defense is what kept us in it. And it looks like it's going to be one of those things where we have to rely on them again until the cavalry comes. And the cavalry meaning either trade help or if this Rashee Rice news that's not news becomes something, he can come back hopefully this year. There hasn't been any news on the front as far as the MRIs are concerned, which is not really a bad thing. I think the longer it goes, the more so that it might not be a tear, an ACL tear, or anything damaging of that nature. It could be just a major sprain. I'm not a doctor, of course. I mean, I guess we'll see over the next coming days as far as like how long he'll be out. But the Chiefs gonna have to rely on guys like Sky Moore and McCall Hart. In the meantime, I mean, against the Chargers, I know we'll talk about the Chargers game pretty soon, but like Kelsey was the Kelsey sighting, 7 for 90 yards in the game. I think he became the Chiefs' all-time leader in receiving yards, passing Tony Gonzalez. It's gonna be one of those things where they're gonna have to rely on defense. And another facet too is Mahomes has to get right. He's been off. He's been late on everything. The ball's been sailing on him. He's not seen the field well like he normally does. And again, this is us holding him to the level that he's been playing at the standard for the last 6-7 seasons now. So I have no doubt in my mind. If 2023 taught me anything, that they will figure it out. Reed, Mahomes, Veach, on all fronts, they will figure it out. But I know, I mean, just today, Devontae Adams came out and said he wants to trade. It won't happen for KC because it's the Raiders. The Raiders, if they can get, if the Raiders can get a guarantee that they'll go to 3 straight Super Bowls, if they trade Devontae Adams to us, they ain't gonna do it. So that's just how it is. But yeah. I'm thinking names like Amari Cooper, maybe Deontay Johnson, guys with multiple years left that are cost friendly. Those are the options right now. I mean, November 4th is a long way away, which is the trade deadline. But they do themselves a great favor by being 4-0 because now you have this margin of error now over the next 3 to 5 weeks, leading no one in the AFC in the conference right now. So just keep winning games, man. It won't be pretty, and that's okay. A win's a win, and just try to get to November, hopefully with 1 loss, maybe 2, and you have a chance to get that first round bye, which will hopefully by November you have a new receiver and maybe Hollywood Brown by January.
Well, as M Moves says in the chat, thanks M Moves for joining us. Don't worry, the Chiefs will beat the Saints next week. So M Moves has the Chiefs moving to 5-0 next week. So
I'm going to talk about the Vikings, but before that, I want to kind of have a brief hot take. Okay. I'm going to kind of buck traditional opinion. I don't think the Chiefs' offense has looked that bad. Just kind of digging through on 2 points. One, they played probably the toughest schedule in the league so far. Right? The Chiefs, the offense looked good against the Ravens. Right? Did it look great? No. It looked at the very least good, and it looked really good at times. They moved the ball up the field pretty consistently against what was the best defense in the league last year. Minus a few subtractions on the defensive line and linebacking core. But look good against the Ravens. You get the Bengals the next week, and again, the Bengals Chiefs. They have the way they run their defense is meant to slow the game down, right? It's meant to slow the Chiefs down. It's meant to make them take underneath stuff. They did not look good against that, but they were never going to look good against the Bengals. Even if this was 2020, this was 2019, whatever. That particular defense has it's consistently slowed them down to a degree. The one time they played, the offense looked at least really good was in the last AFC Championship game against the Bengals. So schedule has been tough. Atlanta, again, we expect Atlanta to be a playoff team, right?
Yeah.
And the two things that really, held them back against Atlanta, which ironically is my second point, is turnovers and penalties. And particularly penalties on second and short or third and short, to kind of push them back. These things I think are more correctable than the drop. Even the drops last year were for the most part flukes, because the dudes who led the team in drops were not traditionally drop guys, at least not to that rate. It was a lot of fluky stuff. I expect the turnovers to kind of rain down. Turnovers in general are random, you know what I'm saying? So I expect those things to kind of at least, I don't expect Patrick Mahomes to throw an interception in every game of the season, right? I think, and we'll get into my last point real quick, is Mahomes. I think so much of the flaws we've seen in the offense so far will be cured by Patrick Mahomes just playing 10% better. He doesn't need to look like 2018 Mahomes. At this point in the season, he doesn't even have to all the way look like 2022 Mahomes, which I think is his best version. Just 10% better. It's just don't miss as many throws, especially the throws he always makes. And another thing I've been kind of seeing through, some film clips or whatever is trust your protection. He's looking back, I think he's so shook by last year and having to be damn near perfect to win these games that he's not trusting, hey, the protection is good. Wanye Morris has been one of the best LTs in the business since he's been starting again. The right side, your middle is probably the best in the league, one of the best in the league. Juwan Taylor has been good. Trust your protection. He's bailing out too early. He's looking in the middle of the field when he has downfield options available, because he's just kind of locked in on hey, I'm just trying to move the ball downfield. We know he's capable of just making any throw at any point, but it's the trust. I think he needs to trust himself and trust his receivers, trust his tight ends, and just kind of let that bitch fly. And then that combined with hitting the easy stuff, I think the Chiefs offense becomes 20% better. And we're not talking about these things. It's very manageable things. So I don't think the Chiefs offense has been that bad. The defense has been excellent.
Yeah.
They by and far look like the best team in the league, considering who they played and what it's taken for them to even, be close to losing these games. So that's my hot take. As far as Minnesota, I'll be shorter on Minnesota. Brian Flores is looking like the assistant or coordinator of the year. They continue to they had Jordan Love in hell. Just not even knowing what coverage is coming, the pressure, getting pressure with 4 DBs, linemen are flying around. They just seem to be in the right place. And Sam Darnold he's making throws that are a step above what even him at his best in New York and Carolina. And they're very good. They're really, really good. Justin Jefferson is looking like one of the best receivers we've seen in the last 15 to 20 years. He's that good. So combine all that up, man. 4-0.
Yeah. So Frank, let's go through the Vikings now for you. they built a 28-0 lead over the Packers in Green Bay. Jordan Love was coming back, like Tristan mentioned. Packers came back though. Final score was like what 31-29, close game. What'd you think about that game? What have you seen from the Vikings so far? Because they are probably the biggest surprise of the league after the first month.
Yeah, I mean it's very sustainable. I mean, I think when you have really a top receiving core now. Like we all know what Jefferson is, but Addison is he's making his name for himself. Like last year when Jefferson missed those, I think 5-6 games, Addison was putting up numbers. I know he went to training camp earlier this year with I think an ankle injury, down a little bit of offseason trouble, but now secondaries they have to play honest. You can't double Jefferson anymore. I mean, you could try, but Addison on the other end, he's a route technician. He was at Pitt. He was when he transferred from Pitt to USC. He's a guy that can run routes. He's a very Antonio Brownish with his route technician work. So and they're doing this without Hawkinson. So when Hawkinson gets back from injury, now you got Jefferson, Hawkinson, Addison, Naylor, Aaron Jones in the backfield. They have a plethora of weapons. So when you have a lead and you have a guy like Darnold, you don't have to ask him to do much because the weapons that he has at his disposal, and he's playing within himself. He's not putting the ball in danger. He's not taking risk, and he's playing in a good offensive culture. So this is very sustainable. Now, will they win a division? I still think Detroit is going to win the division long term, but Minnesota is definitely going to be in the playoffs if they can keep Darnold upright and keep Jefferson upright. My problem with offenses and when they get into big leads, and we saw this in the Alabama game last Saturday against Georgia, teams get so complacent, and you cannot get complacent in pro football or college football because teams play desperate when they're down, especially teams who have weapons, guys who can go vertical on you at any point in time. I don't know why teams go to prevent. I don't know why teams start doing this 3 yards in a cloud of dust, trying to manage the game as far as like playing the clock and not playing to put points on the board. And that's kind of what Minnesota did in the second half. They kind of, especially in the fourth quarter, they got real loosey-goosey with the football. They got real complacent with the football, being very, very conservative. And you can't do that with a guy like Jordan Love, a guy who can throw guys open, a guy who can, create space with his passes and his accuracy. So, no, I think Minnesota's going to be in the long haul. I think the pleasant surprises have been Minnesota and Washington so far this season in NFC. And I think they both have staying power because of the quarterback play and the weapons they have on offense.
Yeah, you brought up the Commanders and Jaden Daniels, who is playing like almost perfect. He's a rookie, but like right now, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this season. Tristan, what are you seeing from him and that offense? They don't punt the ball very often. I think they punted like once out of their last 22 possessions or some crazy stat like that. They scored 20 of 22 possessions, which is insane.
Well, that game, I rewatched that game this morning because I was two things. One, obviously, like Jaden Daniels is box office. Like, it's to the point I love just to watch him throw. Like the release, like it's just beautiful art. Just kind of seeing him throw the ball. This is a pretty sight. I really wanted to focus in my rewatch on both quarterbacks for different reasons. Like I just kind of talked about Jaden. On Kyler, because I don't watch a ton of Cardinals games. I think having Marvin Harrison Jr. there will be another reason to watch. But at first you watch for Kyler, but like the team's not good, so nobody wants to watch an exciting quarterback on a shitty team, or at least a boring team, and that's what they were. So like I really wanted to know like what is it with Kyler? Like why hasn't he taken that next step as a prolific? Why hasn't he jumped a tier? Right? He's kind of been on the same tier essentially since he was drafted. Of like, hey, guy, you pay a lot of money to, but if there's a better quarterback that comes along, you at least have to think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I really wanted to like figure that out. With Jaden, kind of confirm really more with him is one credit to like the OC, Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, like just overall, like their offensive like management. Like they run a very efficient offense, right? One, the line is good, so he looks comfortable in the pocket. He's not. You look at Caleb, like this dude's literally in his face while he's making a lot of these reads. With Jaden, like he has time to go through two, three progressions. A lot of these plays on third down at that. You know what I'm saying? Like you see him, he's looking left, he's looking middle, he's looking deep. You know, he's looking deep, middle, like whatever. He's going through his progressions. And when there's something open, like I saw the touchdown he threw Sunday, there was a guy open in the middle. Like he looked over that to see a scoring option, and he felt comfortable doing that. So like credit to like Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury. One, that line is good enough for him to go through those progressions, and he's making the plays. He's not throwing incompletions, but one, because again they're giving like short routes when they need to, and he could take off and run if he needs to. Like I haven't seen him miss many throws that he should have made. Like he don't have that many damn incompletions. On the collar side, man, like it's not even he's not bad. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't make a ton of bad decisions. He just doesn't make special throws when special throws are needed. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like you just see him missing too many throws on third down, and the drive gets stalled. That and they couldn't run the ball for shit. You know, so like those things put together, like I still don't have a definitive conclusion on Kyler Murray. It's just that he's the same dude. Yeah. Like exciting. He'll make some throws. He'll make some really special throws. He may even do it for a whole game, and they might win. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, he's just not special when he needs to be special. And that's kind of the story of Kyler Murray.
Yeah, he's the short king of the Sunday afternoon window because that's where he plays all his games. Chris Myers calling all his games for Fox there almost every week, seems like.
Chris Myers must have a house in Phoenix. I need to know that. He must live there.
There are certain broadcasting crews that kind of get the same games every week. It's kind of funny. You hear the same voices. Of course, Tom Brady, he's usually working the Cowboys beat. This week, he actually got to call his former team, the Buccaneers. And there was a little bit of a back and forth between Brady and Mayfield, Baker Mayfield, the current quarterback for the Bucs. Mayfield went on a podcast last week and said that, teammates were happy when Brady left and that Mayfield came in because they were so stressed out with being around Brady. And Brady's response was, I was more stressed out not having Super Bowl rings than when I had them. So, not a bad retort by TB12, but
Brady said all that, not realizing that he was proving Baker right.
Right. But I mean, he did bring him a Super Bowl, so maybe it was worth all the trouble that putting up with the Tom Brady experience, especially the after 40 Tom Brady experience. Frank, any thoughts on Baker Mayfield, who, despite the back and forth with the former Tampa Bay quarterback, he looked pretty good again, and they got another win.
Man, I never thought I'd say this, man. In 2024, I enjoy watching him make throws. Just throws. Like he's hitting, like one of the biggest knocks on him in Cleveland was that he moved off his spot too quickly. And he would never settle in the pocket. And once you can get him off his first read, he was kind of like frazzled after that. He's going off script a lot more now. He's been able to go through his progressions. I mean, having a healthy Chris Godwin helps too. Godwin's having a career year so far in the first 4 weeks of the season. Mike Evans is Mike Evans. They still can't run the ball at all. Like they're really bad running the ball. But Baker's making throws and he's improved. And I say this all the time with quarterbacks, man. Like people think quarterbacking is all about development for young quarterbacks. No, like it's development for quarterbacks in general. Like once a quarterback is comfortable, you give him the right system, and a guy can flourish in a system, and get reps and work within a culture, you see the development. And Baker is developed, man. Like he looks miles better than he did 3 years ago. Miles better. And I think, and he really has no excuse to be great because the Bucs going into the season had one of the worst cap situations of football. and they were able to, smooth Baker's contract out, kind of maneuver some things around. But he's added some stability at quarterback for them that they haven't had, or just stability on that roster that they haven't had in a while post Brady. So that's another team, man, that the NFC South is so wide open. I mean, I know we expect the Falcons to like win it just based off like the additions they've made, but man, if Godwin and Mike Evans are playing like this, and if they can find any semblance of a running game, if they can just fall into a running game, if they can just fall into being average, middle of the pack, that could be a divisional round team again.
Yeah, agreed. Like Baker has done what I was kind of saying about Kyler Murray. Like, can you step up a tier? And you do that by being able to make not just the open throws, not just the contested throws, but the contested throws in tight situations. Hey, that 3rd and 12, can you make that throw? Hey, pressure in your face. Can you kind of go off the back foot and still be accurate? With like those are the special type of throws. And I was, watching that game this morning, and he looked special. Like he made some special throws, tight situations, red zone. He looked great. Great decisions, getting out of the pocket when he needs to. Think about Baker Mayfield when he was with Cleveland, especially when they played the Chiefs. Like he was the rare mobile quarterback that you felt good about. Like once he left the pocket, that he wasn't going to be able to make the throws or the plays that he needed to make. It's like he just got way less accurate the second he got out of the pocket. But like Frank said, he was so skittish that he would be quick to get out of there. I think he just had to adjust to his size and like how do I navigate this pocket? Where are my windows? And he's found them shits. Like he's playing like really, really well. Conversely, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts he's asked the question, man, in our preview pod. Like, do we know if he's good?
Yeah.
What I'm saying? And it's with each week, this is unfortunate. With each week, like we're starting to get more of a definitive conclusion. Like there's just too much evidence. Like the dude's his record in the last 20 games, 13 games, is piss poor. Passer rating, passing yards, turnovers. Like it's been he's turned the ball over the last 12 games. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he missed 3 straight throws in that first quarter that essentially helped put the game away early.
Yeah.
Like crucial throws. They're already down 2 scores, and he missed them shits. Like the Trevor Lawrence miss was bad. Now imagine him doing that on 3 straight plays. And that's just what he looked like. He, again, not looking comfortable in the pocket. Philly is at I think an awkward point because the offense should be better, most run through like Saquon Barkley. Maybe get rid of some of like the go routes for Devontae, get more shit in the slot, more quick throws, get the ball out of his hands, because the more he holds the ball, I think the less the chance of success for each Philly play. So tell the 2 quarterbacks kind of going in opposite directions.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a big game for the weekend, and it was not really a close game at all. Tampa Bay handled the Eagles 33-16. It wasn't even really that close. We started off talking about the undefeated teams, and while, obviously they're undefeated, so those are probably the 2 best teams in the league. Let's talk about the team I think might be the most dangerous, though. We saw that team on Sunday Night Football where the Baltimore Ravens ran all over the Buffalo Bills behind 199 yards from Derrick Henry. Frank, do you think they just realized they signed Derrick Henry in the offseason like the last 2 weeks? Because ever since they started giving him the ball, they're hitting their stride. They look like they might be a team we're going to see in December and January.
Yeah, man. I'm starting to have issues with Todd Monken, man, the OC. Like, football's not that hard. Like, football is all about exploiting the weaknesses of the opposition and building on your strengths. Like, you led the league in rushing last year. You added a piece to strengthen the strength of yours, and for the first month you didn't use it. And then I heard excuses like, "Oh well, we gotta pace Derrick Henry, and we gotta." No, bro. Like, you can't pace a guy. Like, you don't know if you're gonna make the playoffs. You have to be able to use a guy and utilize him. He's a running back. Give him carries. He's a volume back. And that was my frustration after the Chiefs game. And I'm a Chiefs fan, but I'm like, you can't. This is how they're going to use Derrick Henry. Give him 12, a carry here, 2 carries there, and then wait 3 drives to give him another carry. And like 12 touches is not enough. He needs 25 touches, 20 touches, somewhere around there, and touches including passes out of the backfield. One thing that Tennessee did when he was there in Tennessee, they threw him the ball as well, and he is coming downhill on a screen or a swing route. Coming downhill, he's one of the most dangerous pass catchers in football from the running back position because he's so hard to bring down. And I feel like that game plan, they finally realized, oh shit, we have a running back that could be a feature back in our offense. Now, let me say this too: the Ravens are good, but 2 things can be true at the same time. The Ravens have a great running game. Also, the Bills defense might be the one of the worst defenses in football by the time we get to December. They gave up 30 points to Arizona. They didn't look good in that game. It took a couple Kyler Murray turnovers for them to win that game. They played Trevor Lawrence Jags team that's as of Tuesday, August 1st, has not won a game yet. And they got blown out by Baltimore.
They ain't got no speed.
Huh?
There's no speed back there. Like in the secondary, there's no speed back there.
No, none at all. Like they haven't, and they're in cap hell too because all those veterans they gave up, Poyer, both their safeties, Milano, now as of today, Von Miller's on suspension. Yeah, for a month. He's out 4 weeks. So they have no explosive guys in their defensive side of the ball that can make plays. And my fear with Buffalo, I know we're talking about Baltimore, but my fear with Buffalo moving forward is that they're gonna put too much on Josh Allen's plate to where you may get a lot of bad Josh Allen moving forward as far as him trying to force the issue and extend plays and and try to make things out of nowhere. But that's not a good defense. And you can tell Baltimore they did whatever they wanted to do. Baltimore's pass offense looked competent against the Bills secondary. They're just not good. And the Ravens will be a playoff team by the way they look, but I'm not going to judge them off what I saw Sunday night. And if they do that against Cincinnati and the Steelers and the Texans, some of the more competent teams in the AFC, then yeah, I'll give them more respect. But as of right now, the Bills are bad, bro. The Bills defensively are bad.
The offense doesn't have much on the outside either. Again, the Bills season turned around last year, and really they've continued it this year. Same philosophy with the less that you trust Josh Allen to drop back and throw the ball, right? So they are relying on their run game partly because they don't have a lot outside. I know Keon Coleman has a touchdown or two, but he's struggling right now to get separation. He's not getting elite separation. They don't have anybody who's getting elite separation. Their offense is hey, Josh, make something happen. You know what I'm saying? Running the ball, scrambling, extending plays. But again, their offense got good. Their season turned around when they took the ball out of his hands more. So that doesn't mean that, hey, he hasn't looked good. The offense has looked good so far outside of, the Ravens game. But how long is that sustainable? And can a great defense take away the 2 out of the 3 things that you do well, right? And I think that's more so true than it is not. So on Baltimore's side, same thing. Zay Flowers is good. Is Zay Flowers great? Is Zay Flowers going to look great against a great defense? Is Zay Flowers going to look great against a great secondary? Press corner, did he look great last year? He caught a touchdown, had a chance to make another one before that went to the shitter. But on a consistent play-by-play possession battle basis, Zay Flowers was for the most part invisible, against L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie and those guys. So the Ravens will go as Lamar and Derrick Henry's legs will take them, and how well can they get Isaiah likely, getting the ball in the middle in space on the outside, because receiver wise, they don't have anything special over there either.
Yeah. But they are able to run the ball. And that was kind of nice to see them go back to that. So we talked about it a little bit earlier about the Jaguars, because they're the only team that's 0-4. Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars 0-4. Frank, they they had a close game with the Texans. I thought they were actually going to beat the Texans. It was a close AFC South matchup. What'd you think about that game? What do you see from the Jaguars? Is Doug Peterson pretty much done after this? Does Doug Peterson make it in November? And what do you think about that game as a whole?
Yeah, it is one of those things where unfortunately you can't fire the quarterback. I mean, he's tied to Jacksonville for the next 3 years, and the next person to go will be the head coach. He's broken. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, there were ill-advised throws in that game that should have been picked off that weren't. Like, he's staring at, like, it's just in his life, it's just mechanic things, like staring down his primary receiver, not looking off coverage, overthrowing guys. Like, it makes me wonder, like, outside the mechanic issues that he's having, what's going on mentally with him. Can it be fixed? Yeah, it can be fixed, but I don't know if this is the coaching staff that can fix him. You might need to do a hard reset on him. Our good friend Jeremy said the other day, I was watching that game against the Texans, and he said, "What if Trevor Lawrence isn't that good? What if it was just going off like just like hype over the last like 5-6 years?" To which I said, "Well, no, like he's 6'6", and he has a strong arm, and he was highly heralded, and he was like the third best prospect of the last 20 years, not named Andrew Luck, and these guys." He's like, and I thought about him like, well, I mean, he did a lot of talent at Clemson. He didn't have to do too much at Clemson. He had a lot of Trevor Etienne and Justin Ross and all these guys, and then his first year in Jacksonville didn't look too good, albeit it was Urban Meyer in that staff. And then he caught lightning in a bottle 2 years ago for like 6 games. They got him in the playoffs, and ever since then he's kind of been like an average guy. And I compared his numbers to Gardner Minshew. 70 starts, him and Gardner Minshew, they're essentially the same person. And I don't know, like, it's been 4 years. I don't know if you snap out of that. I think after a while you are what you are. And T, you said this last week. You was like, maybe they ain't done that offense become more run independent. I had caution against that only because of the money they have invested in Trevor Lawrence to be this big play guy. But
well, the money looks good if they win. Like, you don't mind paying that money if they're winning and they're winning consistently. I look at Geno. Geno, high draft pick. Obviously, he didn't have the pedigree of Trevor Lawrence, but like sitting at certain points, having offenses that weren't built around him, his strengths, but also like his weaknesses. Geno looked elite last night. You know what I'm saying? Like, he looked elite. So like, maybe with Trevor Lawrence, maybe it's getting out of that situation, accepting that he's not, a young Peyton Manning, and like kind of bringing that down a little bit, and like, hey, de-emphasizing his pass game, and then running more quick slants, quick throws, like not make him think less. You know what I'm saying? Like, just kind of getting him in that rhythm, and then hopefully it may not be this year, may not even be next year. Hopefully, couple of years from now, like, you can see him start getting ready to take that next level. But like right now, he ain't got it.
So let me ask you this. If you're Ben Johnson in Detroit or Bobby Slowik in Houston, and that job at Jacksonville becomes open, is that enticing enough for you to even consider going there?
If it is or if it's not based on Trevor Lawrence, because I believe all those dudes think that they can make Trevor Lawrence lead. I guarantee every single one of them looks at Trevor Lawrence and like, I would boom, boom, boom. I would boom, boom. Like, so they probably already have a package in their head for how they would, like, maximize his talent. The issue you'd have to think about is what are the constants that have helped him to be so mediocre? Like management wise, what does the front office look like? Organizationally wise, ownership, you know what I'm saying? Like who's making these hires? Who's drafting? You know what I'm saying? Like if those things are toxic, then as mediocre as Trevor Lawrence looks now, he's always going to look like that because he doesn't have anything to elevate him. So I would look at the whole picture, but all of them, these are egomaniacs, man. They all think that there's an all-pro, a consistent all-pro waiting for him. You know what I'm saying? GOAT status waiting for him. So, yeah, those are the things I would look at.
I mentioned before that Jaguars are 0-4. I had them as a playoff team. The last 0-4 playoff a team to make the playoffs was the 1992 San Diego Chargers. I'm afraid Stan Humphries is not walking through that door. Junior Seau's not walking through the door. Eric Bieniemy, Natron Means, Marion Butts, Anthony Miller, Bobby Ross, the coach. This is like my wheelhouse of when I was becoming an NFL fan. Yeah, my pick not looking too good with the Jags. Let's talk about the other side of that game, the Texans. They're 3-1. Gotta say, they have not looked that great on offense, despite having CJ Stroud. I know that they've been missing the running back, Joe Mixon, the past couple of weeks. Frank, what are you seeing from the Texans? Obviously, like I said, they're 3-1. They have a winning record. They're tops of that division, but I don't know. I thought we'd be seeing better play out of the Texans.
Well, we have to remember too that they're young. I mean, I think a lot of the expectations we put on them based on what happened last year, and a lot was warranted too, based on the talent you talking about CJ Stroud and the offense last year. But I mean, even DeMeco Ryans, this is his second year coaching at the helm as a head coach. This is CJ Stroud's second year. Nico Collins, this is his his third year.
And I should say he is a yardage monster. So he's putting up yards. So it's not Nico's issue per se, but I thought as a whole we'd see a little bit more. But you're right, they're young. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think with football teams, man, a lot of it is just cohesiveness and like just playing together long enough. They haven't had a lot of games together. They're still trying to work in Stephon Diggs. They're still trying to I think I mentioned this last week too. They're still figuring out like the mechanics of like getting Diggs involved while not losing the value of Tank Dell. There's a lot of moving around of like weapons. They have the anti-cheese problem. They have too many weapons and they're trying to like work everybody in while trying to develop a young quarterback in his second year. I'll play devil's advocate. I think at 3-1 with the issues that they're having is a positive thing. If you're 3-1 and you have these issues right now, it's week 4 going to week 5. Like you're going to get better. Like they have a strong foundation with Slowick and DeMeco Ryans and a strong leader in Stroud. I think that Minnesota ass whooping brought them back to earth. I think they needed that to let them know that, hey man, there's more work to be done. You're not going to be donned AFC South champions or Super Bowl contenders until you go through the work. You got to go through the work. And it's going to take just weeks and time to get that cohesiveness down, that timing down. Nico's a monster. Like outside of Nico, they're fine. They're fine outside of Nico. But the O-lines they've had issues as well. Leonard Tunsil's play has like really declined. Watching that game, I think he had 5 false starts in that game alone. Like he was really, really bad in that game. And I don't know. Maybe it was just an isolated incident in that game. I'm not sure if he's been playing like that all year long, but he's going to the season. He was one of the premier left tackles in football. He needs to get back to that if they're going to have any success of like be able to build a foundation. And then also they're missing Mixon. Mixon was a big part early on in that offense. Like he had 130 in week 1. He had another 100 yards against Chicago in week 2. Like he's a big part of what they do. And when he's rolling, that play action is even more efficient. So I think once they get Mixon back, they get more time together as an offense, they'll be fine. I'm not concerned about them long haul moving forward.
Tristan, what do you see out of our hometown team here in Houston?
Yeah, I was just he hit every nail. I was gonna talk about the whole line play, and just to kind of take that further. Like you realize how complementary football is. Because that offense has been good, the reason why it hasn't been great is because too many stall drives because of the penalties. And another thing those penalties do is it puts them in too many obvious passing situations, and that they got their ass thumped against Minnesota because Brian Flores he preyed on that. It's too many 3rd and 13s, 3rd and 15s, 3rd and 17s, and they peeling their ears back, or dropping 8 in the coverage and rushing with 4 and getting there. But too many times where there's been obvious passing situations, and it's been easier to just put dudes in CJ Stroud's face, and that's really the only way to stop him is put somebody directly in his face. Other than that, if he's getting out of the pocket, he's still accurate. His eyes still down the field. He's still able to make damn near pretty much every throw on the field. So Minnesota worked that to perfection. Jacksonville got pressure, obviously not as much as Minnesota. That's really the only reason they win that game, honestly. But that's really the only reason they haven't looked great is because it's just been too many, many mistakes on the line.
Yeah. A little bit ago, we were talking about Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback, lighting the league on fire. Let's go the opposite end of the spectrum. Let's talk about Bo Nix. He threw for 60 yards in the game, and that was enough to win. The Broncos beat the Jets in New Jersey 10-9. Frank, have you been just watching this game on a loop, just trying to get all the football goodness out of it? Because that was a classic there.
Justin and T, man, I wish I could give you football analysis of that game. I literally watched the last 3 minutes of that game. I can't tell you how much it repels me to watch the Broncos offense in 2024. That's a tough watch, man. That's a tough watch. I think I had Javonte Williams in that game in fantasy, and I was checking in periodically to see what was going on. I was like, third quarter, 37 yards passing. That's what's up. Cool. Went right back to the Eagles Buccaneers game and the Texans Jaguars game. Look, man, they're 2-2. I mean, look, that's I don't know how they. I mean, I don't know how they're doing it offensively, but I mean, defensively they're good. They're able to get pressure. And they got 2 big wins in a row now, Buccaneers and now the Jets. That defense travels, man. That defense travels, and in some weird way, man, they don't look disjointed team-wise, at least on that side of the ball. With Nick's at quarterback, they don't look like fuck, man. We gotta play perfect football today because these motherfuckers only went up for 75 yards and at 2.5 yards per attempt. They look like they're fighting and playing for Nick's. I want to see if he gets better. I mean, it's pretty tough to watch him play quarterback right now. I still think that they throw the ball way too much for my liking. I think they need to get back to the run. I don't know. They underutilized Javonte Williams. They have 2 good backs, and they underutilize them. I don't know why. If I'm Sean Payton, I am play action guys to death. Javonte and that backup running back are getting 30 touches combined every game. It's not even close. They need to become more of a run-center offense. But if you would have told me that, hey, Nick's going to throw for 60 yards, they're only going to score 10 points, I'm thinking, that's a 42-10 loss easily. But the fact that they went 10-9, that's crazy.
Which means we need to talk about the team they beat.
Exactly.
I watched this game without watching it. It was the furthest I could get from where my eyes were planted on the multi-view.
Oh, it made the multi-view for you?
Yeah, only because I was too late.
Oh shit.
Side note, I have this issue. So I'm watching the game, and I didn't want to click out of the multi-view and miss anything. So I just kind of kept it. I was like, fuck. At halftime, I'll go back in, pick a game, and then you can kind of build your own multi-view. I was just too lazy to do it, and I didn't want to miss anything. So it just stayed there. It's taunting me. So I watched this game. Mostly, I knew Bo Nix was bad. I would check the stats, every once in a while. And at one point, he had negative 60 yards. Yeah. But I really wanted to see, mostly like with Aaron Rodgers in that offense, like, hey, prove something to me, like show me something, because I don't think you guys are good. I don't think you're going to be good. And 9 points later, like that offense is not good. And Aaron Rodgers is washed. I'm ready to die on it. Like, not that I believed it would be otherwise, but like I'm ready to be as absolute as I could possibly be. Like, normally I come here and I try to be nuanced. You know what I'm saying? Try to be, offer some complexities. Like, hey, let's look at it from this angle. Like, yeah, different perspectives. Let me be very absolute. Let me speak to the American people. Aaron Rodgers is washed, right? And it's not because he can't make throws. He can make some quick throws, quick 2-3 step drop back, get it out real quick, some special throws, but like he can't get out of the pocket.
Yeah.
He can get out, but he's like letting it go. He can't extend plays like he needed to. And that's the thing that made Aaron Rodgers like a cut above, the average quarterback is, the ability to make every single throw from any angle, 1 foot, left, back foot, whatever. That shit is done. Like, he can't do it. He legitimately cannot do it. And that brings down like the ceiling of what that offense can be. And then he doesn't have like a great chemistry with Garrett Wilson. So many plays, especially in this Denver game, where he expected Garrett Wilson to break out right and he went left. You know what I'm saying? And you could just see the disgust on his face. And the vibes are horrible with the Jets. Good Lord, man. Like, how
with
you
the coach and the quarterback, yeah.
Fuck, like they hate each other. Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson, like low-key don't like each other. Like, that shit seemed cool. Hey, bring a 40-year-old Hall of Fame legend to your team until you realize like we talk about wide receivers. Who's a bigger diva than your 40-year-old? Still, I think I'm great quarterback.
Yeah. But what's been a common denominator over the last decade with Aaron Rodgers? He clashed with McCarthy. He clashed with buddy
Matt LaFleur.
Yeah. He's clashing with Saleh. And I'm not saying Saleh's even a great coach, but you can't keep clashing all these coaches and think that you're not the problem. Like, bro, if anything, you need coaching more than ever right now because you're so physically limited. And then like, look who the OC is. The OC's a buddy of his. He's not even a good coach. He's just a buddy. He's a tag-along guy that Aaron Rodgers just so has in his entourage. Like you need coaching, bro. Like, you of all people need coaching. And Garrett Wilson looked like 2 years ago when Mike White, sounded like a Houston rapper, was like the quarterback. Like, he was like Garrett Wilson's rookie year, he looked like he looked like the next one. Like, he looked the one. And like, he's regressed in this year, and then like I'm not even gonna blame him. Like, between Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, they should be the main focal point of the offense, and they're not. And when you watch a Jets offensive play call the game, they don't know what they want to do. Everything is so disjointed, it's inconsistent, things stall, and oftentimes when that happens with your weapons, you rely on coaching and the system. And they don't have a system. Like, what are they good at? What is their strength offensively? Can you tell me, Tristan? Can you tell me, Justin? I don't know if they're good. They don't have an identity at all. And it's like, we can't rely on the name and the lore of a 40-year-old quarterback and the production does not come along with that.
Coming off an Achilles injury, man. Like, that's what we got to remember. Like, again, before the Achilles, like when his last few years in Green Bay, like he was struggling to put together like great games. It was a consistent, steady level of play, but like he stopped being special. He stopped taking risks. He stopped, you know what I'm saying? Like, he just stopped doing the things that special quarterbacks do. He just became like a good quarterback with a great name. You know what I'm saying? Who could still make some magic every once in a while, but like it was less and less. Like, does anybody want to know the last time how many days it's been since Aaron Rodgers has thrown a 300-yard game? Like, we're at more than 300, you know what I'm saying, some days. It's been at least 2-3 seasons. It's been a minute. You know what I'm saying? So if Aaron Rodgers is not going to be special, and you don't have an offensive line good enough to, to create a great run game, you don't have an offensive scheme that emphasizes the run. You have a bad chemistry between your quarterback and your receivers. He has a better chemistry with Alan Lazard, but Alan Lazard is also washed. You know what I'm saying? So like, tell me what's the solve here? You know what I'm saying? Like Frank said, like, what are you good at?
Is Randall Cobb still available? Is he out there?
No, but washed up Mike Williams is still available. they have washed secondary and third-day options. Like, how you have Garrett Wilson and a bunch of washed guys behind him? That's like who the fuck constructed this team? Like, I don't understand. Like, you thought this team was gonna be a playoff contender with like, and Tristan, you said this during our preview show. If you take away Garrett Wilson, let's say Garrett Wilson, we're rolling coverage to you. What do? What is your go-to at that point? What is your counter?
You're relying on Aaron Rodgers to like make magic happen in the year of our Lord 2024. Like, he's, again, from the pocket, you know what I'm saying? If it's open, if it's there, he can make some tight throws. If you put some pressure up his ass and like make him get out of there, he's throwing that ball away. He's taking a sack. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not happening no more, man.
Even like rolling out of trouble, he looks like he's laboring. Like, he doesn't look good. Like, he doesn't look right. Like, trying to roll out and evade pressure.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we see that, DC's are seeing that and eating that up. So I don't know, man. Like, it looks like, I mean, it's early, but it looks like in the AFC East, one team's come out of there, and that's probably Buffalo.
Yeah, because Miami's a mess. Speaking of that, so Tristan, you mentioned your TV setup for watching the games. So I watch Red Zone on Sundays, and the Jets and Dolphins, the Jets and Broncos, they weren't in the red zone a ton, so I didn't see a ton of that game. But speaking of kind of TV stuff, for the second week in a row, we had 2 games on Monday night. They're not really considered a doubleheader because one kicks off like at 6:30 our time, the second one's like 7:15.
Yeah.
Just real quick, what do y'all think about this concept? They've done this the last couple of years. Do you like having the 2 games kind of going head to head and you go back and forth, or I don't know, like how do you feel about that?
I don't like it because I feel like you're cannibalizing your viewership.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, like if you have YouTube Live and you have the picture, I guess, but like you're separating, dividing your viewership, which I think it's counterintuitive at that point. And then on top of that, you're taking away a game from the 3 o'clock slot on Sunday. So now I'm forced to watch the Raiders. I'm forced to watch the Cardinals, and that's it. Like, it's or the Broncos. There's not enough options at 3 o'clock hour, and I don't like it at all. And then like that, the Miami game was so bad, and I get it, those injuries and all of that stuff, but it's like, why the fuck is Tennessee playing on Monday night? Why are they in the second game? They're not good. Like, the NFL schedule makers, they knew Will Levis was the quarterback going into the season. Why in the fuck are you putting him on Monday Night Football? I miss the days when Monday Night Football was done for like great matchups and players who deserve to be on prime time.
Yeah.
Will Levis has not earned that right to be on prime time. The Tennessee Titans has not. Derrick Henry's not there anymore. Why the fuck do you think it was a good idea to schedule them? Even if Tua was healthy and that became a 45-10 game, do you want that on prime time? Really? Like, that's not an aesthetically pleasing game. You know what I'm saying? At least with Detroit and Seattle, those are 2 teams that showed promise last year. Detroit is a Super Bowl contender. Seattle showed promise last year. They have weapons on both sides of the ball. I get that, but it's like, why are we putting these average teams on primetime and like saying, hey, here you go, watch this? Like, nah, man, like save those primetime slots for good teams.
I think this is an issue of institutional failure, and I think this is consistent with what we see in so many other sectors of our life. Like, I've been thinking so much about, like, man, there was like a perfect time in our like society where we had the right amount of technology, like the right amount of channels, like the right amount of social media. Like it was there. It didn't dominate, right? This whole 2 Monday Night Football thing, fun football games thing, is greed and it's institutional failure. The greed part is like the NFL is telling you, like, hey, we want to, we want to get more out of this particular market. Like, we don't want to leave out Tennessee. We don't want to, Miami, obviously, like people in Miami are going to watch the Dolphins regardless, even if they're bad. They might not come to all the games, but they're going to at least watch. But they'll tell you, like, hey, we'll throw Tennessee in there. You're going to watch. You know what I'm saying? Essentially, you are going to watch because it is football and football sells itself. Yep. Now, when you thinking about that is where like the institutional failure happens, because Monday Night Football is in itself an institution. Like it should be the only game played outside of Sunday. You know what I'm saying? It's a time where, like Frank said, like the audience is not divided, right? Sports is better when we are all watching the same thing. We're all talking about the same thing. Before we even start talking about like the quality of these matchups, like think about just in the past year, thinking about the things that have stayed on our brain. It's been times when we all were watching that same thing. Gold medal game, men's basketball, fucking Super Bowl, some playoffs game, like the times we were all focused on one thing. Hell, Kendrick Lamar and Drake. Like when we were all focused on one thing, you know what I'm saying? It makes that thing better. And like Monday Night
Football, the monoculture.
Yeah, monoculture. Like Monday Night Football has always been like the king of monoculture. Like, hey, got off work, we all ate dinner, we're sitting down, and we're watching this one fucking game that we're gonna talk about on Tuesday, and maybe Wednesday if it was a great game, before we start thinking about the next week. And they just bastardized that, man. And like we get so many bad games, bad matchups, because like Frank said, you're taking some of these games away from a time slot that we don't even think is that great on Sunday, which is like the 3 o'clock. That's prime nap time hours and shit. You know what I'm saying? Your fucking Thursday games are, I would say 80% of them are not good.
Oh, I would say that's conservative. Like that, I would say it's higher.
10% of them are horrible.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, okay. But 80% of them are just simply not good at all. You know what I'm saying? So get back to monoculture. I really want us to get as far away from more NFL games to like less, to like a traditional sense, the way we grew up watching these games, because I don't think the quality I don't think the football has been better. I don't think it's been a good thing for most people to watch. It's greed and institutional failure.
Yeah, and then starting this Sunday, we've got the first London game, which will be 8:30 our time. We have the Jets taking on the Vikings at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which is a very nice stadium if you watch the Premier League. But
that's hours right there. Go and give me some cardio in while that shit.
But no, y'all are totally right. It's like now the league almost guarantees every team a certain number of primetime games, right? It can't just be the Cowboys every week, even though I'm sure the NFL would love to give us the Cowboys in primetime. But yeah, the Thursday night thing just hasn't worked. I mean, like, how often, even this week, there's a good matchup coming. It's like what, Atlanta and is it Atlanta and it's a division rivalry. It's let me look it up real fast. Tampa Bay and Atlanta. That's good on paper. I guarantee that'll be bad. There's something about Thursdays where no matter what the matchup is, it's like these guys are just not ready to play that day. There's not enough time in between the games. It's just not meant to be that way, except for Thanksgiving. That used to be our special Thursday thing. Now that we have every week, like that's a game where I just kind of like have it on my Kindle and I kind of look over there every once in a while. And I don't feel like I missed anything. Like this week it was Cowboys. They beat the Giants. Those are two huge markets, huge fan bases. Close game score wise, 2015. But I mean, could I tell you anything about like what happened in that game? No, because I just was kind of like looking over there every once in a while. But okay, seems like Dallas kicked another field goal. Cool. Like it's just not the way football should be. I mean, Tristan, you're totally right. Like we've got to get back to where we're all talking about the same stuff, seeing the same stuff, and it really behooves everyone, not just the fans and us watching at home, but it helps the NFL. It really does. The more you put out there, the more watered down it's going to be. That's the special thing about the NFL. They play once a week. They own a day of the week, Sunday. And if the other sports had a day of the week, they only played once a week. I guarantee baseball and basketball would be right there with the NFL. But the NFL, they're so greedy that eventually they're going to play every single day of the week. I guarantee 10 years from now, we're going to have Tuesday night football and, or Tuesday night doubleheaders or whatever. Like it's going to happen for sure.
Like we have Saturdays in the playoffs or at the end of the regular season. It's too much, man. Like we remember less about, like you said, we remember less about these games.
Yeah.
We just don't remember. I can tell you damn near every play that happened in the women's national championship game in the last 2 years, right? These are monocultural moments.
Yeah.
And we just don't have that with the NFL for the most part anymore because there's just so many games.
Yeah. Now, granted, if you look at the Nielsen TV ratings, like it's pretty stunning. With the top one, they publish this every year, the top 100 TV events, like 95 of them are football. And like of those, like I think 90 of them are NFL games or like even like, Sunday Night Football's pregame show always ranks highly up there. So football is definitely king in our country, but
football is a religion, not to go on another rant.
Yeah.
Like football is a religion. Like we'll watch bad football.
Right.
I'm not in that group. Like I'm not watching bad. I love football. I've always loved football. There's a level of football watching that I just have never been able to reach and don't want to reach. I'll watch bad basketball. I will not watch bad football.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I will not watch bad baseball at all. Like from 2013 to 2015, my Astros memory is white blank. Like I have nothing there for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I will not watch bad football, but the majority of people who watch football will watch bad football. So the NFL knows that. They know that if they know that, they know they can sell ads, and that's why you get more games on more days.
Yeah.
And I think
Frank, last word on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think too. I think with bad football, it's kind of like bad politics. Like it's just like it's the train wreck nature behind it. Like people love to watch train wreck, and I think with football, and you see it's like almost tied to like just culture. Like when a bad game is on, a bad play is on, what do? We run on social media. We edit reels of like guys looking terrible. Will Levis, Bryce Young. It becomes a comical culture, and it's like they spin it to make light of it. And
it's
I think
economy based off of this. It's the whole economy, a content economy. Bad play happens. People talk about it. We got articles, breakdowns, YouTube videos. We write back Sunday, waiting for the next bad quarter or bad play just in general.
Yeah. And that's my fear about where football is going. Like there's no positive reinforcement anymore to build a good franchise and to build a winner and to build competent football. Like it's like no matter what, like they're just gonna fire the next front office or next coach staff, bring another one in to play more bad football, more bad willings and dealings in the front office, a free agency. And it becomes a laughing stock. It becomes just content creating. Whether it's good content or bad content, it's just content creating for people to consume.
No doubt about that. Is there anything else from week 4 that we didn't touch on in the NFL before we kind of briefly talk about college? Anything else you want to mention from the week?
Caleb Williams, steady improvement. I appreciate, or I admire the fact that this dude who's built so much of his reputation going off script has kind of accepted, like, hey, I'm just gonna stick to these 4 to 5, 6 yard throws.
Yeah.
Let the running game take shape. Work play action, and when I get a few opportunities here and there to make some big time throws, I'll try to make them. Not putting the defense in a bad position. I think that's a great way to grow out. And I think he'll be better in the long run from it. So shout out to Caleb Williams and the Bears.
Yeah, and Caleb Williams, having him there and having Jaden Daniels with the Commanders, like I'm glad those two franchises have potential like great quarterbacks going forward, because as we were just talking about, like I don't really have a team that I root for every week. I just like the NFL is a big TV show to me, and I watch it every week. And it's better when we have better cast members, and those guys are elevating those teams. So I'm happy to see that. Frank, any final thoughts on the NFL?
I'm enjoying the soap opera and the competition of the NFC North. Jordan Love came back Sunday. Looked like he didn't miss a beat. The offense was humming. Dude, like the NFC North is fun. Like, I can't think the last time that we had, 4 teams that were entertaining to watch.
Right.
Caleb Williams, like you want to see what he does from week to week. Minnesota's 4-0. They look good. Green Bay, Jordan Love is, he came back. I think he'd be back this early, but he came back. He's looking good. The Lions, man, God, the Lions look good for Monday. They look good. Like they do whatever they want, when they want, how they want. You want to smash around football? Bet. We can give you 9 straight carries of Montgomery and Gibbs. Or you want to play action? Bet. We can hit Jameson Williams on the backside post and Amon-Ra coming over the middle. Or you want us go 4 wide? Bet. We can pull a Porter in the slot. We can go Jameson and Amon-Ra. They can hit you in so many different ways, and they're fun to watch. That whole division, I can't wait to see the Packers and Vikings go at it, and the Lions and the Vikings and the Bears. Like I'm ready for all those matches now, man. I'm excited. I'm not missing a game in that division.
Yeah, it's a great point by you, because I was just thinking about it. Like during our lifetime, like you've never had that division be that competitive or interesting or fun to watch. There's always been 2 teams in that division who have been perennially bad, whether it's the Bears, the Lions. Usually it's the Lions. So it's fun to have all 4 kind of in the mix to varying degrees. So anyway, we'll be keeping track of the NFC North going forward. Let's go to the college game before we get out of here. And let's talk about that Alabama Georgia game, which is, has been the SEC title game for many years in recent memory. Tristan, what did you think about that game where Bama built a big lead? Georgia rallied back, took the lead late, but then Alabama got the final score and won 41-34.
I said some things in the group chat that might have been rash in a second, man. Some, different variations of get the dogs off of my screen, get them off my multi-view. It looked bad. It looked really bad. Like they looked overmatched. They looked too young. They looked like they just weren't ready for the moment. And man, they battled back. Like shout out, because that was looking like an all-time beat them down. You know what I'm saying? Like belt to ass in every phase. And they did what they did. They came back, made it a great game. I shout out most teams when they give up like huge leads, like Alabama did. They don't usually have like that mental fortitude to battle back, and they came right back within a couple plays. What's my man's name? Ryan Williams.
Yeah.
Ryan Williams. Whoo, shit, man. That boy, you talk about special. That boy looks like an alien.
Yeah.
Like he was born a day after Barack Obama announced he was running for president. Like he's that young, you know what I'm saying? And like
he's 17 years old.
And he won't turn 18 until February. Yeah.
That is
every snap of his freshman year will be played as a 17-year-old. So big shout out to them, man. Caleb DeBoer, you bought yourself another 10 days. Like I don't know. Good shot. If you had lost that game,
right,
giving up that lead,
right,
boy, they would have put some signs in your front yard.
Yeah, the Roll Damn Tide audience would not have loved it. Yeah,
no, that is not the place, man. So, instant classic game. We may have seen like a megastar, a superstar being born, like literally, like last week. Like he's that damn young. So,
yeah,
instant classic, man.
Frank, you talked about this game a little bit earlier, but what did you think about it overall, as far as just the excitement back and forth? It started out pretty as a blowout, but then it became like Tristan said, instant classic.
Yeah, it's just a constant reminder, man. With rivalry games, you don't know what to expect from 18-year-old kids, man. Just a wave of emotions from drive to drive, half to half. Like that looked like a 60-10 type of game at one point. Like Georgia looked like they were largely the defense and Carson Beck looked like they didn't want to be there. They looked scared. And Carson Beck turned it on in that late third, going to the fourth. I still have questions about him as a top pick. as an NFL franchise quarterback. I still need to see more. That's now 2 games against Bama where he didn't look good for most of it. The championship game last year against Bama, he didn't look too good either. I want to see more. I want to see if he can like bounce out of that and play more consistently all throughout a big game. But one thing that Georgia showed me is that they got holes. That Georgia defense from 2 years ago that was like an historic, one of the all-time greats. They ain't it no more. That team got that the corners aren't as good. They don't really get a push on the D line anymore. They got problems, man. And Texas, they got to go to Austin in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I don't know if they want those problems. Going to Austin, Ewers will be back. Isaiah Bond, Ryan Wingo. Texas got weapons, man. Texas got more weapons than Bama does. Bama has a weapon, Ryan Williams and a secondary good receiver. Texas got 3 really good receivers, and whether it's Ewers or Arch Manning, that either quarterback are a better thrower of the football than Jalen Milroe right now. So it's going to be interesting to see. I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia gets 2 more losses because they have to play Tennessee as well and Ole Miss too. So we're going to see. But that game was a great game. With Kellen DeBoer, you gotta put your foot in the pedal, man. You cannot get complacent in a rivalry game, especially at home. If any excuse to put up and run up the score is at home against a rivalry, against a rival. And I feel like they got too complacent in that second half, and I think they gave Georgia the juice that they need to get back into that game. But my favorite quarterback, as far as if he comes out, is Jalen Milroe. He's raw. He probably needs to sit if he comes out next year, but he's athletic as all get out. Has a strong arm. He gives me Lamar Jackson vibes. He's a stronger runner. He's not as like agile, quickness as Lamar, but he's actually explosive and he's powerful. He goes to the right team, man. He could be a 12-year starter easily in the NFL.
Wow, high praise. So, anything else from college you want to touch on? Texas made its SEC debut with a win over Mississippi State. Arch Manning was starting in that game. Ole Miss lost to Kentucky. That was an upset also in the SEC. Anything else from the weekend you want to mention?
Quinn Ewers is the better quarterback in Texas.
Yeah.
Arch Manning has the higher ceiling.
Yeah.
Interesting times there. Like Quinn Ewers, I think Quinn is going to get his job back when he comes back. Like I think right now it's a controversy. Ooh, that boy could keep looking like that while Quinn is sitting. I don't know, man. Conversations may need to be had. So, better quarterbacks have gotten their ass set. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think they already said that he'll be back for the OU game.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this right now. He better look pristine against OU. He better look great, not good. He better look great against OU. Because if he looks anything other than great, then you hear the whispers on the 40 acres. But
loud as hell.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hot seat for Quinn if you don't. And I know Sarkisian wants to do right by Quinn and get his draft stock up and all that kind of stuff. But look, man, this is about winning games. And if Quinn shows any type of ill effects from that abdominal strain in the OU game, and let's say worst case scenario, let's say he gets hurt again in the second quarter of a 14-10 game, and Arch comes in and goes bonkers, he ain't getting that job back, bro. It's gonna be Arch's job for moving forward, and Quinn might have to go get that 5th-year redshirt somewhere else. So him staying healthy and playing well is so key. Come next week when they play OU.
Better ask Spencer Rattler.
Spencer was in South Carolina, and was never heard from again.
Well, I mean, he's in NFL. Derek Carr came out looking like a pumpkin. We might be having Spencer Rattler conversations, but better ask that boy.
Yeah,
he can go to shit real quick.
Yeah, man. especially when boosters are involved, man. Like that shit goes haywire, man. Like when T Boone Pickens and the Billy McDaniels boosters are shutting out millions of dollars, that shit comes out quick, bro. It sometimes it's out of the coach's hands at that point.
Yeah, and it was the Red River shootout a couple years ago whenever Caleb came in and he took over that job, and then he went to USC and took over that job also. So
Yep.
yeah, we got some big games in the college coming up in a few weeks, so we'll be definitely looking out for those as well. Anything else before we get out of here you want to mention before we wrap it up? Tristan, any final thoughts?
That's all I got for you.
Frank, anything else? Final word? No? Okay. Well, now you know what we thought about week 4 of the NFL season. We want to know what you think. The best way to do that is to join us in the live chat, just like M Moves did, just like King B. Johnson. We always appreciate them joining us. And hey, if you're watching us now on YouTube or if you're watching us later on YouTube and you want to comment, please leave a comment below. We appreciate that. And if you're on YouTube, do all the YouTube things. Like us, subscribe to our channel. We appreciate it. Definitely helps us out. And hey, we're also on social media. So you can find us there. We're at Watchers Basement. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. And be sure to use the hashtag Watchers Basement. That helps us find your comments. And, we do a lot of stuff here on YouTube. We do a live stream show every week. We do multiple ones a week. In fact, we're doing the Penguin. We're doing Agatha All Along. We're going to be reviewing Joker Filet Adieu, which I actually saw last night. We're going to be doing that next week at some point. And, of course, we're doing Watch Football Weekly every week. So be sure to join us for the live stream. But, if video is not your thing, if you prefer the audio podcast, we got you covered. You can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you're on those platforms, please be sure to, give us a 5-star rating. That really helps us out also. So that puts a wrap on the episode. So for Frank and for Tristan, I'm Justin saying thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.